Robbie Johnson with the Idaho Department of Lands joins us now. Robbie, thank you so much for joining us here today.
Thank you so much, because it's so important, especially this time of year when people are fresh and getting out. We really want to make sure they're recreating responsibly.
Right. So speaking of, what does recreating responsibly mean or look like for folks?
Well, you may remember in the height of COVID-19, we had so much pressure on our outdoors in Idaho. We had people coming from other states because other states closed their outdoors and Idaho remained open. We had so much pressure on our lands and our outside opportunities that from the governor's office in Idaho, there was really this effort to really push out the message that we need to recreate responsibly to keep our outdoors open. So COVID-19 as we know it is over in that way, but we've had so much population growth in Idaho that we really have a lot of the same pressures when it comes to people wanting to use our beautiful outdoors.
Yeah, and you kind of just touched upon it, but I remember all of those photos of the trash and things like that. What are some of the biggest issues that you guys dealt with or saw during that time and even now?
Well, trash is definitely one of them. It really falls under the definition of just disrespect of our outdoors. And that's not okay in Idaho. And when you see that, when you see trash outside or you're out with people, you see the video here, you know, that's an example of making sure you don't have your chains dragging and causing wildfires. And that's a form of respect. Just, you know, making sure you are responsible. You're not starting fires, you're picking up that trash. And in this case, you know, that's off-road vehicle use that is off trail, that is damaging the landscape. You know, we can't have that either because there's consequences, right? Our goal is to keep our outdoors open, but if we see that kind of abuse, we have to consider closing it, and that's the last thing we want to do.
Right, especially here in Idaho where, you know, recreational activities is such a big part of our lifestyle out here. You mentioned, you know, last year the biggest fire was due to just human error or a campfire. Why, kind of talk a little bit about the importance of why people should be aware of this. I mean, you kind of touched upon it now, but I mean, that is such a big part of this. How often are you seeing it?
Well, yes, obviously wildfire, you can't go back in time and fix that. And we tell people a lot of things like, you know, bring a shovel with you before you go camping, bring a jug to fill with water, make sure that fire is dead out. But we have to go even further, really, to make sure we're in the hearts and minds of people so before they go, they're ready. And when they're at that decision point, Recreate Responsibly Idaho is there to support them. And so they know, like, this is not okay in Idaho. We're taking part in taking care of our state, and we want to make sure other people do the same.
Right, and kind of preserve it for everyone else in the future. Is there anything else you'd like our viewers to know who might be watching right now?
Well, we talk about safety. You know, we want to keep our lands open. We want to prevent wildfire, catastrophic wildfire. But safety is a huge part of recreating responsibly. You know, obviously wearing your helmets is important, like you see there. But this week is National Fishing and Boating Week. And we have a post on our Facebook and Instagram this week really showing how to properly put a life vest on a child. If you're 14 or younger, you have to wear a life vest. But a problem we see is people are getting the wrong size. It's ill-fitting, or they're just not doing it. And you really can save your child's life this summer by making sure you have a life jacket that fits properly, and you have all the resources to do so with the loaner stations and the support of all your government agencies.
Yeah, a lot of good information there. Robbie Johnson with the Idaho Department of Lands, thank you so much for joining us here on the News at 4. We'll be right back.
As they slept in bed in the early hours of a Sunday morning, they were stabbed to death with a large knife, leaving their rooms blood-splattered. There are no witnesses, nobody even reporting hearing screams. There was no sign of forced entry at this house and no evidence that any of the victims had been sexually assaulted. More than 4 weeks on, there's no murder weapon and no suspect. It's a crime that's not only dumbfounded police, it's mystified America. At its centre is a small town police force which hadn't had a murder for more than 7 years.
You can feel the weight of what's happened as you walk through town, and it's hard to say if or when it will ever be the same.
Are you going to catch this killer or killers?
We are doing everything we can, and part of that is to be sure we're going through all the evidence. It's vast. There's pictures, emails, phone calls coming in. We have to look through everything to make sure we have everything we need to make an arrest and also take this to court and be successful in finding justice.
You want a conviction as well as an arrest then?
Yes, we can't afford a mistake. We can't afford to put out information that might compromise anything we're doing with the investigation.
Humans pose the greatest risk to Idaho's landscape. Arju Binkley spoke with the Idaho Department of Lands about what to keep in mind when enjoying the outdoors this time of year. Jude?
Well, Morgan, the Idaho Department of Lands says that wildfire season is getting longer across the country, and we're entering the time of year when we see the most risk for human-caused wildfires. And prevention all starts with awareness. There's one gem of the gem state that becomes a hotbed for hikers and bikers this time of year.
It's dry, it's gorgeous, and we can protect it.
As the summer heats up, so does the risk of wildfires in areas like the foothills.
The temperatures change, and these fine fuels become very much a fire hazard. 80% or more of fires are actually caused by humans.
The Idaho Department of Lands says a lot of their concerns and wildfire risk lies in southern Idaho.
Looking around, we're seeing a lot of this very, very dry grasses. We call them fine fuels. We had a lot of moisture in the spring, which allowed these types of grasses to grow really strong. Now we're in the heat of the summer, sustained heat, and this is starting to dry out significantly. We have seen fire start in southern Idaho already in these types of fuels. So it's really the place of focus to be as careful as you can, especially with fireworks, sparks. This could be gone.
In addition to being aware of conditions, there are several things you should know when planning a trip into the Gem State's outdoors.
So when you're going to somewhere like this or where there's grasses, first of all, be sure you're not parking on the dry grass. Don't drive on the dry grass. Your engine, all that heat can cause a wildfire just by driving over it.
One of the most common causes of wildfires are campfires.
Every year there's a huge wildfire caused by a campfire. If you're going to be camping, look for a camp in a fire area that's maybe like this, away from fine fuels or by water. Use a ring that's already been created for a fire.
A few quick steps to help preserve a long history of Idaho's landscape.
And I think if we're all thinking about all of us enjoying recreation, thinking about our firefighters that we really want to use for lightning-caused fires, just remembering that as we enjoy our state is really a good step to making sure you're doing that right decision.
I'm your Idaho Backroads neighborhood reporter, Steve Dent, and I've got the details on what has changed and what you need to know to get your favorite camping spot in your favorite state park.
We have really seen the demand for camping in Idaho grow, and we want to make it, first of all, easier for people to get their campsites. But we also want to create a system that's based on demand when it comes to pricing. So a very high demand campsite is going to be costing you a little bit more, but in the times where it's not so much demand, it's going to be costing you less.
For example, a campsite at Ponderosa State Park near McCall around the 4th of July will be about as busy as it gets. The highest price you will pay as an Idaho resident for electric and hookups at this popular state park will cost $42.
So when we're talking about variations in pricing, we're not talking about just huge jumps. We're not here to discourage and make it hard for people to use our state parks. But the camping fees, what you pay per night, is what funds the state parks.
When the new Idaho Time camping reservation system launches on Monday, people will be able to reserve campsites, cabins, and yurts through Memorial Day weekend. Tuesday through June, Wednesday through July, Thursday through August, and Friday through September. And once this initial launch finishes, moving forward, you will be able to reserve your spot 9 months out.
It's going to be so much easier to find a park, look at a map, click on it, put your dates in. And we have our staff, our rangers at these parks, they're taking pictures of the campsites.
But this first week could be interesting. You will get put into a waiting room depending on when you log in. You can get up to 3 campsites, but you don't secure the reservation until you pay for it. So consider having multiple options, but you will want to be quick and prepared before the reservation system launches on Monday.
The old reservation system, it's on our website, you can still look at it, and that's where you can go in and get a feel for, okay, here's the map, okay, this is what I've done before, I know the sites I want, and then I'm ready for it when I go into the new system, because you won't be able to actually go into the new system until it actually launches the first week.
We continue our team coverage tonight. Chief Meteorologist AJ Fox with the latest on the weather conditions that fire crews are facing. And our Catherine Phillips is in Mariposa County with the latest on the fight to save some of the oldest trees on Earth and endangered homes.
As the fire heads into its 6th night, officials say they know the fire was human caused, but they don't know exactly what started it. Today, the focus was attacking the fire in new ways with tools they hadn't used before. From the ground to the sky, fire crews continue to battle Yosemite's Washburn fire, using every tool available to stop the fire and protect the historic Mariposa Grove.
This is a full suppression fire. We have multiple agencies, an aggressive initial attack. So we are taking this fire and going after it as hard as we can.
Yosemite Fire spokesperson Robbie Johnson says the golf course usually busy with players teeing up, now home to a 10,000-gallon heli well. Johnson says it gets filled with recycled groundwater, and then crews use it to dump water from above.
The location is strategic, so we can have the water as close as possible to the fire. Well, we'll definitely have a faster turnaround time to getting to the fire, and that's always an advantage. Our ground crews are working so hard, so the more resources we can get to them more quickly to assist them will definitely make an improvement in our response.
Crews also continue to keep a line of sprinklers around the sequoias to try to build a layer of humidity around the trees. The park superintendent confirming no storms with lightning took place on Thursday when the fire started, saying the fire was human caused, but the exact cause is still under investigation. Johnson says every sequoia in the grove is still standing.
They've really gone a long way to prepare for these types of fire events with prescribed fire in the past. That's really shown to be protecting our sequoia trees here.
Those who were evacuated on Friday still haven't been able to return home. Many of the 1,600 people who were evacuated, however, were tourists staying at the Wawona Hotel and Campground.